has given Wander his next mark, describing it thus: "A giant lurks underneath the temple. It lusts for destruction, but a fool it is not." Now Dorman says the temple here, not a temple, which was somewhat misleading for me. When I first heard him say this, I got pretty excited. Images of delving underground beneath the very shrine that Dorman resides in and taking down a Colossus that has taken up residence there filled my mind's eye, and I left the structure in an even more excited mood than usual. Unfortunately, the sixth Colossus is nowhere near Dorman's shrine, and it's my least favorite one out of them all. Go figure. Technically, Dorman wasn't lying. We are going beneath a temple, just not the one that we return to after we defeat each Colossus. Though now that I think about it, I suppose our destination does actually put us beneath Dorman's shrine itself, topographically speaking. And Dorman calling it the temple does make my mind all aflutter with possible lore wanderings, but we'll get into that once we reach it. This little area is called the Autumn Forest, and it's pretty gorgeous. The shafts of sunlight bursting through the tops of the trees, the general flora, the thickness of the trees' leaves, as well as the shroud of darkness that hangs over the area as a result of them, do a lot to evoke the feeling that the player is entering an environment dissimilar to any of the others so far. My only complaint is that I wish the forest was just a little bit larger. Just when you enter, it feels like you exit. This small opening that leads down to this pond is a very solid example of the game world being designed to feel as though you could explore every inch of it if you wanted to, and you can. The fact that your path to each Colossus is far from linear, and that there are no constant waypoints or arrows or time limit of any kind is a unique accomplishment that few games can tout. This is the Great Desert, and it lives up to its name. We won't be entering it for quite some time, but just know that when we do, I'll be feeling pretty giddy, as my favorite Colossus resides there. The Ancient Sword's light serves as anti-bloom technology here. As you can see, if the bloom were less intense, the pop-in of the environment further into the desert would be extremely obvious. Just another way that they tried to compensate for the PlayStation 2's hardware. Our destination lies to the right of the desert, though. As the bloom fades away, you see a tall structure jutting out of the rock face that would draw your attention even if you were unaware of it being the location of the Colossus. Welcome to the temple. Simple platforming. It's definitely one of the less interesting segments though, as it's very short and literally just small piles of boxes to hop over continuously. Just like in first. You gotta love sunlight. Wander now has to descend to the chamber below. Fall damage be damned. If you'll notice, the HP meter for our next enemy appears quite a few seconds before the cutscene starts to play. I'm not sure if this is something unique to this boss, or if it has to do with my letting Wander fall to such a great length before grabbing onto the wall again. The stranger thing about it is that the music cuts off abruptly as well, but it doesn't matter too much. Barba, the sixth Colossus. Oh boy, here we go. As the battle begins, for whatever reason, Barba seems to be completely unaware of Wander's presence, which makes you wonder what caused the gate to open in the first place. He even begins to circle back around, as if to say, ugh, I really needed more time to nap. This is a positive advantage for us though, because Barba is unexpectedly a little speed demon when he eventually does see Wander and begins to chase after him for interrupting said nap. Climbing over these walls poses very little challenge, even with Barba's aggression pointed our way. The goal is to hide in this roofed alcove over here, but we have to wait for the thing to lumber its way over to us before we can carry on. It was strangely aggressive at first. Typically I don't see his hand attack when I replay the game. It probably just had to do with me being too close to the edge of the alcove or something. Eventually, he gets wise to your antics and lowers his head to take a gander at you, allowing Wander to grasp onto his glorious mane and begin to scramble upwards. This is where my frustrations with this fight begin. Your greatest adversary, by a country mile, is your grip meter. The amount of shaking that Barba does is kind of insane, which is why I hopped upwards by mashing triangle just to make it to the top of him in time and ensure I wouldn't fall. I've also found that there are quite a few spots that seem to cause an almost constant block of movement by staggering Wander and forcing him to grab onto his fur over and over again. And now it's time to replenish Wander's stamina before executing a plan of attack. I hope you enjoyed the animation where it threw its head back, because you're going to be seeing an awful lot of it as I attempt to stab its head. It just doesn't stop really, though he was kind enough to let me stab him once before hurling another assault my way. I think my dislike of Barba also comes from his environment. I find the area itself quite interesting, but the fact that it plays literally zero role in the fight is somewhat disappointing, and when you're constantly being thrown off of him, it makes it that much more boring and cheapens the experience a bit. I know I mentioned lore musings earlier, but not much comes to mind with this area now that I look at it. I was expecting to say that for whatever ancient religion that the people here may have followed, this may have been a nexus for them, but I'm not really sure what purpose a lot of the obstacles here may have had. The large opening for sunlight in the ceiling could be attributed to a place of worship, and even Dorman's shrine is the same thing. But as for the perilous fall and the small walls that Barba decimates as he plods along, well, they're just a bit of a mystery to me. It could possibly be a shelter or bunker for protection, but there's no way to glean what dangers the long since past society of the Forbidden Lands may have had. Barba is a treacherous boss as well. Of the entire playthrough, he gave me the toughest time. I had to retry and re-record this fight 5 or 6 times just to get a recording time that wasn't over 10 minutes. I'm sorry for complaining for most of the fight so far with him, but it makes me sad that there's a Colossus that, as far as my own personal enjoyment goes, doesn't add very much to the overall experience of playing the game. But that's absolutely not to discredit those who may enjoy the fight. Maybe I've just had poor luck constantly with him. I'm going to take this time to talk about a mechanic that I've completely ignored thus far, and, truth be told, will continue to. Your stamina meter can be grown by a means other than defeating a Colossus. You've probably noticed at least once that there are a lot of dark lizards scurrying throughout the Forbidden Lands. At the save shrines we've seen and I've mentioned, however, there are special white-tailed ones. Using the bow and arrow, you can kill these and then consume their tail for a minimal stamina boost. In the PS3 version, which I'm playing, there's even a trophy for consuming all of them. With that out of the way, I fully admit that the lack of stamina in this fight could be remedied, but I just can't justify grinding out the lizards for this fight when it's, for me, the only fight in the game where stamina management is this difficult. At least no one can say that I didn't try and give it my all there. Stab his head, then stab his back, and then Wander is finished. I'm very excited to continue on with Barba behind us. apologize for this video only containing one Colossus. For pacing purposes, I feel that the remaining Colossi work better if seen in more exclusive pairs than if I were to put the next one with Barba. Thank you so